So before we go on, in our previous lesson we looked at phrases. We talked about the noun phrase, the types of phrases, how a phrase is a group of words that functions as a single unit. And we looked at the various types of phrases. We looked at verb phrases, we looked at noun phrases, adjectival, prepositional, adverbial phrases, and we say that they are just groups of words but will function as that unit. That unit could be a verb, that unit could be an adjective, the unit could be an adverb, the unit could be a preposition, depending on how they are in a sentence. But now they are functioning as a group. So today we're looking at now another group of words that will function as a, we're looking at participle phrases. It will be the same thing. But now, before we go to participle phrases, we'll need to remind ourselves what a participle is. Because for it to function as a participle phrase, it must be a group of words. So I can just say it is a group of words that functions, a group of words that functions as a participle in a sentence. So this participle phrase. So what is a participle? So a participle, if we remind ourselves clearly, is a word, just a minute, is a verbal word that functions as an adjective. It's a verbal word that functions as an adjective. So that, what is a verbal word? For example, interesting. Interesting. Another word is arrived. These are verbal words. But now we're looking at them as we are looking at them as functioning as what? Adjectives. So that we can say interesting movie. Arrived, just not arrived, but expected guests. Tired visitors. So all these three words here, interesting, expected, tired, they are verbs, but they are functioning as what? Adjectives. What is an adjective? It's a word that gives us more information about a noun. So which movie? The interesting one. Which guests? The ones that we were expecting. Which visitors? The tired ones. Okay? Which pool? The swimming pool. Which baby? The crying baby. So that we say, when they function as an adjective, they're giving us more information about the baby. That's what an adjective does. So today we're looking at how a participle, a phrase, will function as an adjective. Because when we say that a group of words that function as a participle, we're looking at a group of words that function as an adjective. The only difference will be that there'll be no adjective in that sentence like an adjectival phrase. There'll be a participle. Okay? And before we go on, we have different types of participles. We have the present participle, which is normally called the ing participle. And then we have the number 2, we have the past participle, which is called the ed/en participle. So that here, this participle again will be functioning as an adjective, but in an ing form or an ed/en participle. So when we begin with present participle, they are in form of an ing. For example, interesting, crying. Okay, they are ing participles. So, and then under, for example, now we have interesting movie, crying baby. So the underlined words are the participles. And then now past participles. will be the ed stroke en ones, so that we have expected, we have stolen, we have broken, so that we can have expected guests have arrived. The stolen bicycle, the broken window. Okay, so broken here is not functioning as a verb. Stolen here is not functioning as a verb. It is functioning as an adjective. It's giving us more information about the adjective, the noun. The noun window, the noun bicycle, and the noun guests. So that when we say, now we're going to look at, we've looked at what a participle is, the types of participles, and now we're going to look at in a broader perspective, that is now in the participle phrase perspective. So now present participles in a sentence that has a present participle. So when a sentence has a present participle, what does it mean? That the action in the former in the main sentence, in the previous sentence, in the participle sentence, happens before the one in the main sentence happens. Now that we've learned what a participle is, we've reminded ourselves what a participle is, we're looking at now what a participle phrase is. And we've just said that a participle phrase is a group of words that functions as a participle in a sentence. So I'll just add, such a phrase begins with a present participle or a past participle. This participle phrase, it normally begins with either a present participle or a past participle. For example, now that we've said it's a group of words that functions as a participle, and that such a phrase begins with a present participle or a past participle. Let me give you now examples of these participle phrases. Okay? For example, shivering with cold. The cat went into the house to warm itself. Okay, so shivering with cold. What do you see here? The word shivering. Shivering now is the present participle. Okay, so it gives this sentence, shivering with cold, gives us more information about who? The cat. Okay, how is it functioning as an adjective here? Or how is it functioning as a participle? It is functioning as a participle in the sense that it is giving us more information about the what? The cat, which is the noun in this sentence, because all participles, they functioning as adjectives. So what is an adjective? It gives us more information about a what? A noun. So in this case, it will be a group of words that functions as a participle. So here, it's a group of words that gives us more information about what? The cat. It was shivering with cold, so it went through what? To warm itself in the house. Okay? Another example could be thinking the ground was dry. I sat down to rest. Okay? So, thinking the ground was dry is a participle phrase. It gives us more information about who? The I, who was thinking the ground was dry, so that this action can happen, so that he or she can sit down to rest. Okay? So what is the function of a present participle phrase? It means that the action in the participle phrase happens before the action in the main, with the main verb. Okay? The action in the participle phrase happens before the action in the main sentence. Okay? The function of a present participle. Now that is what we're going to look at. So we've just said that the present we've given examples of a sentence that has present participles. Let me just add here. Present participle phrases. All right? So that this one is shivering with cold, the cat went into the house. It is a state that is happening in the present. Thinking it was on the ground was dry, I sat down to rest. So the function here, we're looking at now how does it function? Given those examples, the function of a present. So this present participle phrase, shivering with cold, we're not looking at this other part of the sentence. It may look like it's in the past, but what we're concentrating on is this part, shivering with cold. The cat went to the house to warm itself. Or thinking the ground was dry, I sat down to rest. So what is the function of the present participle phrase? So it is used to emphasize that the action in the participle phrase is immediately followed by the action in the main sentence. Okay, this shivering with cold is immediately followed by this other action. After noticing that it was shivering with cold, it immediately goes into the house to warm itself. After this person realizes that the ground was dry, immediately they sit down to rest. So it just emphasizes, it's just used for emphasis. Now this action is followed immediately by the action in the main sentence. So that is all about the what? The present participle phrase. All right? So let me give you an assignment to practice on it more so that when we come back next, we will look at now the past participle. Remember I told you that this participle phrase that functions as a participle in a sentence could begin with a what? A present participle or a past participle. So we've looked at participle phrases that have begun with what? Present participles. All right? Like shivering, like thinking, okay? Those ones begin with what? Present participles. That's why they are in the ing format. All right? So we're going to look at, in the next lesson, we're going to look at now sentences or maybe phrases that begin with what? Past participle phrases. So our assignment for today, let me just write a few questions here for practice. So let's read the questions. You are supposed to rewrite the sentences, replacing the underlined part with the present participle. The first one, the dog wagged its tail and beat the postman. So you are replacing this first part with a participle phrase, a present one. The second one, while she was tidying up her room, while she was tidying up her room, while she was tidying up her room, comma, she found some old photos, full stop. They are vegetarians and they don't eat meat, full stop. Again, in both sentences, you are replacing the underlined part with a present participle phrase. He was a good boy and helped his mother in the kitchen. Again, you're replacing the underlined part. As they didn't separate this, as they didn't have enough money, comma, they spent their holiday at home. Again, you replace the underlined part with the participle phrase. And then number 6, since we didn't watch the news every day, comma, we know what's going on in the world. We know what's going on in the world. Now, remember that there is something we need to note. Let me just say it as an NB. The participle phrase is separated from the rest of the sentence by a comma. So whenever you will be replacing, you make sure that the comma will follow the what? The participle phrase. You will separate the sentence. The participle phrase is separated from the rest of the sentence by a what? By a comma. So remember, when you're doing that assignment, remember to separate the what? The sentence, the participle phrase with the rest of the sentence by a comma. After writing the participle phrase, like in this case, shivering with cold, comma, the cat went into the house. Again, here again, we've seen that we've separated the sentence with what? The comma. Okay. Having said that, I wish you well, and we are looking forward to the next lesson, which will be about the past participle phrases.